What you doing?
Hey, just finishing this claim to get Dave back on the road.
Nice. I wonder what Dave's doing.
You do your thing. We've got you covered.
Hey, is the power off on this?
I don't know. Just take it off.
Safety violation, unsafe work conditions.
In the construction trades unions, safety is our highest priority, and we train you to recognize and speak out on unsafe working conditions so that everyone arrives and goes home safely. Learn about careers in construction at georgiaconstructioncareers.com.
Happy Friday Eve and welcome back to another episode of Keeping It Real with Najeh Wilkins, presented by georgiaconstructioncareers.com. We got a jam-packed show today. Got two guests we're going to bring on. First is going to be head coach of East Paulding, Coach Hirsfield, and then we're also going to bring on Stephen Bernard. He's kind of a guy, content creator, goes all around the state, getting kids just highlights, interviews, and more. So we're going to talk a little bit to him. That'll be a very fun segment. And then third segment, we're going to talk about some recruiting news, my top 10 headlines for the weekend, analyze a little bit of tape, and then we'll obviously talk about the headliner, Tail Tie out for the rest of the season, the outstanding senior quarterback for Troup County. Last year was number 2 in rushing yards and number 1 in passing, but it's having a great season. But we're going to see if we got head coach Coach Hirsfield ready for the interview. Hey, Coach. How you doing?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great, Coach. Appreciate you coming on the show today.
Absolutely. Appreciate you having me.
Yes, sir. Well, Coach, before we talk about your team, talk a little bit about you, Coach. So just correct me if I'm wrong, but a little bit of research. I know that you played at Murray State and you transferred to West Georgia, and you play a little bit of quarterback, right?
Yes, sir.
Coach, tell me about kind of just a little bit about that college experience that you had, and just kind of what are some of those key intangibles you're going to have to be able to play at a high rate at the quarterback position?
Yeah, so I had an interesting situation with my college career. Went to Murray State right out of high school. Wound up playing for Coach P. He got let go right after my first year. Had a new college coach, played spring there with him, and then at that ultimate point, I transferred to West Georgia, come back home and play under another coach who then left after another year. And then Coach Dickey then ended up being the head coach at West Georgia. So I played for 4 college coaches in 4 years, which, again, I always tell people is a nightmare as a player. But I've always known what I wanted to do. I knew this was it for me. And so I took on the thought of this is great for me as a football coach. I got to learn 4 offensive schemes, watch 4 head coaches on how I want to do things, how I don't want to do things, all that. And so it really gave me a lot of wisdom with that.
Now, Coach, you was a first-year head coach last year. I know previous to that you was an offensive coordinator for dynamic offenses at Walton for 4 years. So just talk about the little experience there, being an OC, and kind of how that's helped you kind of get prepared for this role that you're kind of in now with East Paulding.
Yeah, I mean, I had the chance to learn over some of the best head coaches you can possibly find. When I went to Madison Academy in Alabama, where we won those 3 state championships, I played under Coach Eric Koyu, who's won 3 state championships in 3 different states. He's at Little Rock Christian right now, LCA. So played under him at Madison Academy. He was my head coach. He hired me as an OC at the age of 23, which doesn't happen often. So I'm very grateful for that. And then obviously at Walton, being under Coach Bruner and just learning so many things from him and how things are supposed to work, how you do all of this. Then the cool thing is, last year we went 3-7. We only had 3 returning starters last year on that football team, playing in a brutal schedule. Our region is absolutely, SEC parity type stuff. So we struggled. We had chances to win against really good teams or be in those games, and we didn't have the experience to do it. And at the end of the day, it's all the lessons we need to learn now. And so now, for the first time in my 11 years of coaching, I handed off the play calling to Van Spence, who's obviously called a lot longer than I have. He's been a head coach. He understands everything. My staff is unbelievable. So I've handed it to him, and we've kind of taken off with that. Now that we have 17 returning starters, we're right there on the brink of where we need to be. And it allows me to take a step back and be a better head coach. It allows me to see different things during the game and call certain, shot plays that I might see that if I had to scheme a whole week, I couldn't do as well as I had before. So it's exciting. And I always tell our kids, we're 2 plays away from being 5-0. In a scrimmage, we beat Harrison, 21-7, who's 5-0. North Paulding, 5-0. We were just right there.
Right there.
North Paulding did a great job of finding a way at the end of the game, to get us, and we couldn't take advantage of some of our opportunities. Put the ball on the ground 4 times. You can't win a game against good teams doing that. Then Hiram, 5-0. We score a touchdown with 35 seconds left, to go up 49-44, and ultimately they take a 99-yard kickoff back to win that game. And so people understanding where we're at is we're right there to get East Paulding back to exactly why he came here. And then we've done a great job of just going through the last few games. And all I tell our kids is 3-0 is all that matters. And we have a chance against another improving young team with Noonan, and their coaching staff is obviously very good, and Chip, and he does a great job. It speaks for itself with what he's done. But, a chance to go 3-0 in the region. The real season started. So a lot of people didn't expect us to be here. My expectations, and I tell our kids this all the time, could be 5-0, but that's the growing pains that our kids are still continuing to learn. So I'm very happy with where we're at. We're never satisfied, but I feel very good about us, through the rest of the season.
Yeah, Coach. I mean, you answered a couple of my questions. I was going to ask you about those losses, but you went into detail. But yeah, you guys are off to a great start, right? 3-2. Could be, you said, 2 plays away from being 5-0. Already a 2-0 start to the region, a competitive region, which we'll talk about in a second. But yeah, you guys are doing a phenomenal job. And I want to talk to you, Coach, about your QB room. It looks kind of, just looking at the stats and things, that you kind of run a 2 QB system with Chance Bouknight and then Baylor Thompson. Just what separates those two? What have you seen from them this season as far as just carrying that leadership role and as far as being a QB for you?
First of all, proud of both of them, how they cheer each other on. It's an even flow of the game. We rotate series. There's certain things that one quarterback might give the other team problems more than the other, then we just kind of roll with it. And at the end of the day, it's about East Paulding football, winning football games. And so whatever we have to do to find a way to win, that's what we're going to do. And I'm very proud of how they've handled that, because they have 2 completely different skill sets. And they do things very well. And I think it gives teams problems to try and match up or decide, which quarterback's going to be in now, which quarterback's going to be in the next series, which quarterback's going to show up, because it changes how they have to defend us completely. And even though it's tough at times, but I think ultimately it gives defenses and teams headaches to try and scheme for both.
Yes, sir. And then I want to talk about your running back, Javen Parker. Does a really good job of bouncing off the first tackler, having a good season for you so far this season. Just what have you seen from him just in terms of growth, and or some things he did in the offseason to kind of get to where he is today?
Yeah, Javen's a dog, man. I've always said that. He brings so much relentless energy in his game. The way he runs the ball, you can't tackle him with one person, and he looks for contact. So, and he's a hard worker. A lot of people are missing out on him right now, if I were to be honest. But I understand and I get where those college coaches and that recruiting thing happens. But he's he's a problem. And I think any team that ever plays us always says we're trying to figure out how to pack the box and stop that first. But then we got guys on the outside, our young guys, a lot of ways to make you pay. So ultimately, that's why we're doing as well as we are offensively. Our defense has done a great job of doing those other things to hold teams at bay for the most part. But our offense is explosive. And we create so many problems, and I'm very proud of those guys because it's an ultimate buy-in right now. And I'm excited for our future. And we got a tough task tomorrow going to Noonan. And I've lost every time I've gone to Noonan because it's a tough place to play, and it's a championship caliber program with great coaches. So, I've explained to them we're going to have our hands absolutely full with that, especially them coming off that big win from South Paulding last week.
Yes, sir. And then I want to mention a group that sometimes gets overlooked, but just the offensive line, Coach. You mentioned how you rotate your two QBs. Sometimes it can be tough. You got one that possibly likes to run it, one that likes to be kind of in the pocket. So just what have you seen from them this season, and what's impressed you about their play, just kind of being able to handle everything you throw at them?
Well, they're tough, and our big thing is always find a way and harden up. I tell them that all the time. And our offensive line this year they're extremely tough, and it's tough. It's grit. That's really what it takes up there, and it's just we're well improved from from last year on that. They understand all the rules because we have a lot of rule breakers, a lot of things, adjustments that we do mid-game, and we prep for. So that ultimately is the most important part. They get us push, no run-throughs, but then they pass protect well. And I couldn't be more proud of them. And then those two quarterbacks, again, like I said, it's just the way they're bouncing off each other, and it doesn't matter. Like, it really doesn't matter who's into them. They just want to win the game.
Yes, sir. And then I've seen you kind of talk a little about your playmakers. I want you to go a little bit more in depth and kind of expound on Cameron Shealy and Brian Allen. Just what have they brought to your offense this year? Just as you mentioned, kind of keeping the defense on edge, right? You can run it with Javen, you can throw it, also with your two quarterbacks and your playmakers. Just tell me about Cameron Shealy and Brian Allen.
Yeah, so Cam Shelley, VA, Brian, Cam Jones, Gil. We've got so many weapons, and we're so multiple. Anything we want. They can play any position. We can motion anybody we want because they care, they understand, they watch their film, they hold each other accountable, which is incredible to watch as a coach. And so we can present any problem we really want. And it's a testament to them. It's because they're football junkies. And that's what you want. You want kids that love football, because now at this day and age, we don't have that many people or kids that love football. They love what football gives them or the attention it gets. They don't just truly love the work and what football means. But our group loves it. And, BA, Shelley's a senior. He missed the last 4 games last year due to a concussion. But, Brian Allen's a junior. Cam Jones is a junior. And then we don't even talk about Damari Witherspoon, who's our 6'5", 225-pound receiver / tight end who tore his ACL in December. That's been offered by UAB, Western Kentucky, all those schools, and he has attention from Georgia just because of what he is. He is that adjuster guy, but we're hoping to have him at some point this year. But you got the cat like that sitting on the sidelines. You add to it, it can be exciting. And so what we're doing, and again, goes back to Javen, that offensive line, really giving us that identity. Our identity is we want to run the football if we can. And then if you over adjust to that, we're going to make you pay.
Yes, sir. Well, I'm going to throw this question to you, Coach. I always when I have coaches or even players on my program or on my show, I like to highlight different people and just kind of give exposure to kids that aren't talked about a lot. So I'm going to throw this to you, Coach. Just who are some players that are underrated, kind of just flying under the radar on your team that's just been giving you a big impact? It could be somebody that's not talked about a lot. Just who would be some of those players for you? Just came in this season, off season, spring training, and just been giving you the 100% all their effort and has really made a difference?
I'd say we got a kid named Gil. We call him Gilly. And he is impressed me and matured so much in the last year and a half. And he's made some big plays for us consistently now. And I'm so proud of him. I give him a hard time, but I'm very proud of him because he's now becoming that third. You got that third and fourth option when teams want to, go over the top of people. You get one-on-one with somebody. He's done a great job. Landon Schaefer, our kicker, he's done something great with obviously he's the number one kicker in the country for the junior class. He gives us a big weapon. Our defensive front, you got Caleb Funches, who is our just everything. He's our biggest leader. You talk about substance. He does everything with urgency, and not just the urgency, with purpose. He's a 6'2", 275-pound D lineman. Chris Stokes, who's 6'5", 315 pounds. He's got offers. He's committed over to Marshall right now. You've got Caden Russell, who's our D coordinator's son, and he's 6'2", 285, plays DN for us, and he does a great job. Brody Burgess, who plays linebacker for us. Norvis Martinez is our SCA leader, our SALT leader, and I don't know why he doesn't have more offers at all. He's 6'1", 230, runs a 4.7, plays basketball. He's a triple sport guy. It's just so we've got so many diamonds in the rough right now that I think are slowly starting to come out, and people are starting to see, and I couldn't love being here more. I couldn't love coaching these kids any more than I do. I'm pumped up about where we're going. We got a tough road ahead. Again, I keep saying that, but we're trying to do something that hasn't been done in East Paulding in a long time. And the first thing I talked about when I got here was restoring the respect of that shield, because we lost that respect a little bit. And slowly, with all the work that's being put in, I think people are starting to realize it, and now we got to go prove it, because nothing's given to you at all. So, we'll see what they do. That's what I always tell them. So I ain't about that talk, I'm about that action. So I'm gonna see what kind of action they give us.
Yes, sir. I love to hear that. And speaking of, you've kind of talked about it a little bit, but I want to go a little more in depth. You talked about kind of restoring the shield and obviously putting in the hard work and everyday coach, but tough region, right? We'll talk about the Noonan matchup in a sec, but you got Douglas County in there. South Paulding was really good last year. Hughes, a defending 6A state champion. Just, how do you come on top and win the region, coach, and just get back to playing what East Paulding's about?
All more about Noonan. So that's all I can talk about right now. Because they present a lot of problems. And, after, hopefully we play a great game, and God willing, we win. And we set ourselves up 3-0 in the region in first place. Then we go into a battle with the next booger that we know. and what Douglas has done. So it's 1 week at a time at this point, and it is. Our region is so difficult, and I underestimated it coming here. If I'm going to be honest, I'm looking at those teams. I know them, but playing in that 7A and at Walton and stuff, I underestimated it. And going through that year last year, these teams and coaches did such a great job, and there's so much talent out in Paulding County that I don't think people understand. Douglas County too. So it's a problem, but it's 1 week at a time. It's the only thing I can think about right now, and that's what I tell our guys, because if we take care of business this week, we got another opportunity to do something big.
Yes, sir. Well, speaking of the Noonan matchup, we know they got the really good linebacker and obviously running back. Oh, like a kick coach off. Give me 1 sec. All right, guys. So, like you kicked off, coach, just want to ask him one more question. I sent different links. Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, I wasn't you, coach. I think the same link got sent out. on, let me text the second guess. Okay, sorry about that. So, yeah, I wanted to ask about Noonan, Coach, real quick. Just wanted to ask you, they got a really good, obviously linebacker and running back in Rodney Colton. Just obviously he's, a big part of the offense as well, and, they run the ball really good. But just, what, in your opinion, what's the keys to the game for your team to come out and be successful and obviously move to 3-0 in the region? Okay. Hey, Coach.
I know what's going on. Yep.
Okay. No worries. Sorry about that. So, yeah, I was saying Noonan got a really heavily touted player in Rodney Colton, run the ball really good linebacker. But just in your eyes, just what's the keys to kind of slowing him down defensively, and then just for your team to kind of come out with a victory and keep churning to 3-0?
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. They're young, they're improving. They lost a playmaker last year, and their quarterback it killed us. And they jumped all over us at home last year. And so for us to go to their place and beat them is a very difficult task. So it's passion, effort, and attitude. It's all I tell our kids. Play with passion, give the effort, give the attitude. If you do that, hopefully everything takes care of itself, because that's what a program like that's been sustainable, that's been a 7A playoff team for years and years and years, and now they're in our region. I remember seeing that when I got this job. I was like, how the heck did we get Noonan in here, in 6A? So that's pretty much the end of the day.
Yes, sir. Well, last question. Nope, go ahead. Sorry.
Yep. No, you're good.
Oh, yeah, last question, Coach. Sorry about that. Just last thing, how impressed have you been with just your defensive play so far this season? We've seen them keep you in games. We've seen them battle at a high level. Just collectively as a whole, how impressed have you been with them?
Really impressed. And Derek Russell, our DC, first year calling plays as a DC, has done a great job. And I talk about complementary football all the time. And so when the offense is struggling, the defense has to back us up. And then when they back us up just enough, then the offense gains control and starts finding their groove, then the defense doesn't fall apart. Unfortunately, with the Hiram game, Hiram had a great game plan, and they caught us on something, and that's why we didn't win that football game. But you look at every other game, every other score, we're holding teams to a low score, which helps us, control a game by tempo, whether it's pick it up fast and try and score more points, or if we got a lead and it's comfortable, slow it down, and that's what our offense does really well. We can go really fast or we can go really slow. Either way. And so that defensive aspect is huge, and they have done so good on that, and it's a lot of credit to our defensive staff.
Yes, sir. Well, Coach, thank you so much for just spending a little bit of time. Let me highlight your program and finding out more about the Raiders, and good luck the rest of the season, Coach. I'll be watching, and good luck Friday night against Noonan.
Appreciate it, man. Go Raiders.
Go Raiders. Yes, sir. All right, guys, so that's head coach Coach Hirschfield doing a good job in the second season. Got that team playing at a high level. A lot of underrated players that a lot of people weren't talking about. But as you mentioned, they got some dogs that people are kind of sleeping on, man, and they are in a tough region. But I don't blame them. Like, one game at a time. Let's not look too far ahead. Let's handle our business Friday night. So definitely respect to that. Good luck the rest of the way for him. I can't wait to see what that East Paulding team does. But we're going to take a quick short break before our second guest comes on, and we'll see you guys on the other side. Going to thank our sponsors.
What you doing?
Hey, just finishing this claim to get Dave back on the road.
Nice. I wonder what Dave's doing.
You do your thing. We've got you covered.
Hey, is the power off on this?
I don't know. Just take it off.
Safety violation, unsafe work conditions.
In the construction trades unions, Safety is our highest priority, and we train you to recognize and speak out on unsafe working conditions so that everyone arrives and goes home safely. Learn about careers in construction at georgiaconstructioncareers.com.
All right, welcome back. So this second segment will be very, very exciting. We got a lot to talk about with Stephen Bernard, content creator, man. So does a really good job in the state of Georgia. So just ask a little about his career. We're going to ask some fun stuff. And we got a little special segment at the end that I think you guys will enjoy. I'll have the closed captions so you can understand what we're saying. So without further ado, we're going to bring him on. Don't have him yet? Okay, no problem. So, Craig's going to go ahead and try to get him. We'll wait a little bit for that. But, yeah, just a little bit about more of the rest of the show. I'm going to talk about Javen Parker and then Christian Smith. What's going on, man? Can you hear me? All right, we'll try to get him back. But, yeah, we're going to talk about Christian Smith from Harrison, his tell of the tape, and then Javen Parker, as head coach Hirschfield said, underrated. But we're going to try to bring him back on. What's going on, man?
Good, sir. How you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. Sorry about the little shake-up, man, but excited to have you on the show, man. What's going on? How's everything?
Excited to be here. I think any day we can sit down and talk good football is a good day. So, obviously, I was tuned in the segment with Coach over at East Paulding doing good things, and I'm happy that you have some time to chat with me as well.
Of course, man. So we got to talk about the season so far, right? We seen each other at Corky Kell. You talked about some of the teams that you was hot on. So, I mean, just so far right now, who have you been most impressed with?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a difficult question to answer, but I can definitely take a shot at it. I think there's just so many teams right now that have clearly shown that they've put in the work throughout the summertime. There's a couple teams that I've been able to catch a couple different times. But I always love highlighting coaches that schedule a tough schedule before region play. I think that's a big deal if you're able to kind of stack the toughest teams you can, whether they're here in Georgia or in Florida like we've seen, or even all the way to California like some of these teams that we've covered. I think that's a good thing. Anything that prepares you for a region play in the playoffs is the way to go. So kind of to answer that question a bit, if I want to talk about that, I want to start off with Cedar Grove. The record doesn't necessarily show it. I know they were just on ESPN Friday night against Colquitt, who I'm going to say is probably top 2, top 3 team in the state in terms of 7A. But Cedar Grove has had an absolute gauntlet of a schedule. They've played the defending state champion in Mill Creek, who's one of my underrated teams, right? They've played Collins Hill. They've played Colquitt. I mean, you name it, they've shown up and they've played. The buck stops with Cedar Grove in that classification. And they've been one of the most teams I've been impressed with. Shout out to Devin Carter, sophomore wide receiver, also a Florida State commit. He's killing it out there. Quarterback is E.J. Colson, who's a UCF commitment. And then obviously you have Bo Walker, running back number 0, who just picked up a UGA offer, who's a hell of a running back. Also shout out to number 24 middle linebacker. He's also an underrated guy as well.
Yeah, speaking of Cedar Grove, Coach John Adams does a good job. We know how good they are year in, year out. And you said you've been impressed with them. You actually took one of the questions I'm going to ask you. Just, does their defense concern you at all? Historically, we've seen their defense be elite, right? We've seen they had the Kayan Lees. They've had the stud linebackers, the Najeh Greens. We've seen that, but, I mean, they've given up, 50 to Monarch. Obviously, they're playing upper echelon competition, but 50 to Monarch, 46 to Westlake, 56 to Mill Creek, 50 to Colquitt. Does the defense concern you at all?
The defense has taken a step back from last year, as you mentioned. Some of the guys you mentioned, I think they had about 4 Power 5 guys in that unit last year, right before that heartbreak to Sandy Creek. Yeah, they've been giving up some Arena League scores, right? And that can concern someone that's just reading the box score. As you would know, if you look back at the film, just a couple adjustments. They've been monstered and they've been marred by injury. I think they had 4 or 5 starters that were out. And that's going to hurt anybody, particularly if you're a 3A school playing up to 7A competition. Monarch is a solid program in Florida, but I mean, playing Collins Hill, Westlake, Collins Hill, and Mill Creek back-to-back is just insane. And then you top that off with Colquitt. I mean, that's 4 7A teams. That Westlake game, I'm going to say, was the game of the year. I believe the final score was 46-41, went down to the wire. Pass breakup in the end zone with no time left. Super heartbreaker for Cedar Grove, but I'm assuming that Coach John likes teams like that to kind of build their character throughout the season. And I think they'll be fine as the season goes on. That defense will rebound just fine once they get healthy.
Got you. That's going to be a storyline to see. They remain number 1 in a lot of rankings, AJC, Score Atlanta's, Max Prep. So we're going to see how it turns out. I think they'll be okay. Hopefully the defense gets a little churned up a little bit. But E.J. Colson, Devin Carter, a lot of dudes on that team. But if you don't mind sharing, before we get more into kind of obviously talking more football, just tell us a little bit about what you kind of do on Friday nights. It's like a little bit about your career and what's some things that you kind of responsible for when you go to games on Friday nights.
Absolutely. So I'm kind of a transplant. I'm not originally from Georgia. I'm originally from Miami, Florida. Also, obviously, a hotbed for high school football, youth football as well. Moved here about 6 years ago. I actually started coaching here in Gwinnett County where I live. Coached a variety of different teams. I have a son who's a 14-year-old who's currently at Brookwood High School. So I kind of started off just coaching, just being a dad, helping train kids as well. And then that kind of morphed during COVID into what I have now, which is SB Productions. It's a full media production company. We do video, we do photography, and it's just kind of grown from there. Networking, running into people along the way, good folks like yourself that just have good conversations with. And if you're able to talk good ball, then typically that's infectious, right? So people that love high school football, particularly here in Georgia, tend to want to be around each other and continue to talk good ball. I've worked with 11 Alive. I've worked with Overtime. I've worked with a variety of different major publications. Born to Compete, shout out to Alex Benson. But for me, I think I consider myself a little bit like a tastemaker. I have a hat in everywhere. I talk with a lot of coaches behind the scenes. Obviously, on Friday nights, I'm filming either content for myself or for other productions. This Friday, I'll be filming for Dynasty U. But outside of that, I just consider myself as an all-around fan who's been able to kind of do something that they love, turn their passion into a business. And kind of bringing in exposure to these kids is my number one form of business, my number one thing that I care about most at this point. So yeah, I do a little bit of everything, man. You know that.
Yes, I do. But yes, if you guys didn't know who this is, I wanted him to share a little bit. I know him very well, but just wanted him to share about his career, what his mission kind of is, and what he's behind. So back to football. What's some other games you've been to since I've seen you since Corky Kell?
Yeah, it's been nonstop. As you know, the Bucks stop these schedules. Every week you're going to see a great matchup. I just attended the Mill Creek Parkview game last week. It was my second consecutive week of watching Mill Creek. I'll be honest, when I saw you at Corky Kell, I didn't think much of Mill Creek. Obviously, they did have some losses, losing the number 1 defensive player in the country in Caleb Downs last year. I was skeptical, man. I just didn't believe in it. Shame on me, man. That coaching staff is A1. The attention to detail, the belief that these kids have in the process. Mill Creek went out there in a dogfight in a tough environment against Parkview, came out victorious. I want to shout out Cam Robinson. I'm willing to say Cam is probably the best running back in 7A this year. Don't believe me, look at the numbers. He's compact, he's aggressive, he's quick to the ball. He's a lineman's dream. He hits the hole full speed. It's just a hard target to hit. I mean, he had 25 carries, 184 yards, and a couple touchdowns last week. He probably had close to 300 yards against Cedar Grove the week before. This kid's the real deal. Shane Throgmartin, the quarterback, steady, accurate, poised, just the type of quarterback that you want moving forward into 7A ball. And they're in a tough region. I mean, they're looking down the pike at Buford real quick. And they're going to have to see if they have it in them to kind of beat those guys. So shout out to Mill Creek and what they're doing over there. Coach has done a phenomenal job. They've really impressed me thus far.
And real quick from that game, just what are your thoughts on Parkview? They've stayed kind of in the top 10 team. I think that was their first loss of the season. Just, You've seen them a couple of times. What have you thought about Parkview and kind of their program? A lot of athletes, a lot of good players, Power 5 players.
Absolutely. The program is star-studded with players, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. Like I mentioned to you during Corky Kell, the one thing that kind of made me nervous is a lot of their main guys on defense also go play both ways on offense. So depth is a big deal in 7A ball. Jalen Crawford's our Auburn commit. He had 2 interceptions that game. Obviously, Mike Matthews, the number 1 athlete in the country, Tennessee commit. He also scored an amazing touchdown on a slant route. The question is the quarterback situation. I'm just going to call it what it is. It hasn't been what they thought it would be, and that's going to be difficult, particularly in 7A in that region. In my opinion, they're in the toughest region in the state with having Grayson, Newton, who's doing phenomenal this year as well, Brookwood, South Gwinnett. They're in a tough region. And if they're going to want to win that region, at this point, taking a loss to Mill Creek doesn't hurt as much. It's not a region game. But ultimately, if you want to win the region, you're going to need better quarterback play. The defense is solid. The running game is solid. Shout out to Kyrie Spain. Unfortunately, he's out for the season. Kid was a monster last year. But Trelane Maddox has filled in he's as good as advertised. He's a Georgia Tech commit. This kid can go. So they've got the athletes. They just need to kind of right the ship at the quarterback position.
Really? I was asking Craig. I didn't know Kyrie Spain was out for the season. Really?
Yeah, man. The game that we were at, if you remember that game, Parkview was up big. Kel kind of made a little bit of a run at the end. I believe it was in the third quarter. Kyer breaks out right sideline, which is Parkview's sideline. He tried to hurdle a guy, man. He landed wrong. And I believe he's out for the season. So did speak with him on the sideline last week. He's in good spirits. That kid's a beast. He's the heartbeat of that offense. But like I said, they have enough offensive playmakers, defensive playmakers that they should be fine as long as the quarterback situation writes itself out.
Wow. Well, you broke some news for me. I did not know that. I knew he was injured, but I thought he would be back probably, mid-season. I did not know that. So thanks for, breaking that for me. Let me know that because I did not know that. Okay, so
sure.
Right now, man, who's your favorite in 7A?
I got 2 kids, as you've known. I mean, you're probably better pressed asking me which one of my kids are my favorite. I can't tell you, man. I don't know. I mean, 7A is a dogfight. I like, obviously Colquitt is in the conversation. I hear a lot about them, but unfortunately I haven't been down there to watch them play much. Looking forward to watching them play. They've got a variety of athletes that I'm really interested in watching, but Walton might be the sleeper if you put a gun to my head today. But I don't even feel comfortable calling him a sleeper. I think everybody knows Walton's the bully on the block. Jeremy Hiklinski, the quarterback, he's got moxie. He's got the swag that we talk about. He's deadly accurate. He's a Wake Forest commit. Everybody knows about him. No one's hiding away from Walton. Kai Beckford, the running back, real deal. Their offensive line. I mean, they have playmakers everywhere. I think the main difference between them is the continuity that they have offensively and defensively. Great job by the coaching staff with them as well. I don't want to count out Carrollton unless you can outscore them or find a team that can outscore them. It'd be hard-pressed to pick against those guys as well. That injury that Bryce Hicks had, that running back for them is big, but they've been trucking along since the Langston Hughes loss. But outside of that, man, I think those are my top 2 teams. Buford has to show it, man. I know they've got all the guys with all the offers, but in a big game, I want to be able to see if they can kind of do it. They have a test coming up with Mill Creek soon. After that, I don't think they'll be tested again until the playoffs. So those are my teams, if you're asking me that, for sure.
All right, and I think for me,
who
man,
do you have, man?
I think he was gonna ask me that. That's tough, man. I mean, Mill Creek, like you said, is kind of the sleeper. They're just kind of a steadfast team. They're just always going. As a favorite, man, I gotta go Walton, man. No disrespect. I like Buford. They're talented. I think that's gonna be a marquee matchup if they play again. But I think Walton, Colquitt, Buford would be my top 3. I think up there. But I'm just about to mention, Craig just reminded me, I got a sleeper for you. No one's talking about him. I got 2. Despite Milton giving up all them yards to David Osayemi, him going for 325, That's just a tough opponent, right? That's like the Cowboys playing the Packers, right? That's just a team they don't match up well with, right? I think Milton's a sleeper. They got so many playmakers, Power 5 guys. Defensive line is pretty good, historically good. That's one of my sleepers. My other is Grayson. Grayson got the athletes. Now, I know nobody's sold on Grayson. Everybody's overreacting to the Walton win. And what I told everybody was Walton was just at a different level at that point, right? That offense runs so well under Coach Bruner and that coaching staff. Jeremy already has the eyes for that offense. He's taken big steps forward already, right? If you've seen what Grayson has done from week 1 to now, this absolutely thrashing opponents. They got the athletes to match up with you side to side. They got dynamic playmakers. Jeff Davis has taken a step forward this year. His progression is great. They can run the football. There's not going to be too many, let me say this. There's not going to be too many teams that's going to be out physical Grayson. I'm going to say that right now. Not going to be too many teams. So that's my sleeper. I think they can go and contend with Colquitt. I think they can contend with Buford. I think if they play Walton again, I think it'd be a better matchup. So those are my 2 sleepers. You call me crazy, Milton, Grayson. Just watch. Everybody's going to be like, that don't make sense. Just watch as the season progresses.
I mean, Grayson's got the athletes, like you mentioned. I think if you're judging a team just getting off the bus, I mean, Grayson's one of those teams you want to look at. Tyler Atkinson, all those guys, man. They're all just great. To be honest, in a big game, in 7A, when the temperature drops, in a tough environment, can they run the ball? I know Jeff can throw it. I know they got the athletes, they got the receivers. Can they run the ball consistently? Can they get to 2nd and 6? Can they get to 3rd and 3? If it's going to be a shootout and they have to pass and it's an obvious passing down, then they're much easier to defend, right? But if they're continuously cranking out 5-6 yards on 1st and 2nd down, running the ball, then that's the Grayson that you want to see. So I want to be able to see if they can continue to run the ball and if their offense can continue to evolve in that way.
I respect that. Now tell me, man, a big upset in 6A. Well, I won't say big upset. Let's just say a good win from Douglas County, right? I think they went into that game pretty confident. They got the athletes. They went on the road. This does not happen often. Coach Boone does a really great job. Elite quarterback in Prentice Sarah Nolan. Just what's your thoughts on Douglas County going on the road and saying, hey, man, we here this year. We come to contend. What you think about that?
I think it's long overdue. I think Douglas County it's been a big game against those guys for a while. Shout out to that staff. Shout out to Route King. Shout out to everybody that's there. They've always had the athletes. In that area, in Douglas County, I mean, there's nobody that has a better situation in Douglas County. Those players are going there. And they've been winning games. And obviously it's a marquee victory over Langston. Langston's had a crazy schedule thus far. And just like I mentioned at the top, if you can just continue to schedule these tough teams early in the season, before the temperature gets down, I think that's what you want. So shout out to Douglas County. They have the athletes. That's no question to anybody that knows those guys over there. But I want to see it in the playoffs. 6A has some teams that can really go. So that's just going to be just as tough as 7A, if you ask me.
I agree. And then I want to ask a quick one. Just Mill Creek Buford, are you going to go to that game?
Of course. I'm definitely going to be there. I shout out to Trajan Greco as well. Forgot to mention him when we were talking about Mill Creek. That kid's a baller on both sides of the ball. Georgia Tech commit as well. Interviewed him after the game. Seemed a little lukewarm on Georgia Tech, so let's keep an eye on that. Nonetheless, that's a game that everybody wants to go to. Buford's main weakness, and I'm sorry to say, man, I'm just going to keep it real. Their DBs have not impressed. Besides KJ Bolden, right? We know he's the real deal. Shout out Florida State. Everybody else, a lot of these corners they just haven't impressed me. And if a team is going to go beat them, just like Walton beat them last year at home, they're going to have to be able to move the sticks by passing the ball, right? Linebacker-wise, between Mantrez Walker, Jaden Perlotti, good luck running the ball there. Defensive line, Bryce, whoever you want to name, right? Those guys are stacked up front. That front 7, front 8 is legit. Their DBs, a lot to be desired. So keep your eye on that game. If Shane can pass the ball consistently down the field, we might have a shootout.
Interesting. So are you more concerned – let's ask this because I think me and Craig have been talking about it. Are you more concerned with their DBs or are you more concerned with their offense? Because I think for me, I'm a little concerned offensively. I trust the defense because, as you mentioned in your kind of point throughout, this has been the level of competition you've played. They played the St. Francis, the Malik Creeks. They played a tough non-region schedule, but I think their defense is legit. But you tell me which one is more concerning for you. I think for me, offense. But what's for you?
Well, yeah, a lot of people have been mentioning behind the scenes that their offense isn't necessarily clicking on all cylinders just yet. Buford has a very particular system, a very particular way in which they operate. Shout out to Gloryland, University of Buford, whatever you want to call them, right? But it's by committee, right? And, I mean, that keeps everybody happy to a certain degree. But I think when the money's on the line, you really need to go with your playmakers, right? So they have a running back by committee, stable, in my opinion. I need to continue to see growth in the running game. Quarterback, obviously, everybody knows the number one quarterback in the country, the former number one player in the country, in Dylan Raiola. They're still trying to find the chemistry, right, between the receivers, between everything, right? So I'm going to give them the shadow, the benefit of the doubt. I understand that they're working towards it, but that's something to keep an eye on. I mean, have we seen Buford get down yet? What happens if they get down for a considerable amount of time in the game? And it's an obvious passing down. Can they come down and win that way? I mean, we're going to have to see it.
It's a good point, man. I can't disagree. We're going to have to see it. So I've been asking you a lot of questions. I know you want to ask me some stuff, so I'm going to throw it to you. I'm going to let you be the interviewer. I could be the interviewee.
Yeah. I just want to keep it as quickly as possible. I know we were talking favorites in 7A. I want my question written down here was, who's your favorite in 6A? It's probably somebody we talked about already. Well, not in this show, but in private. Who's your favorite in 5A, 4A, and 3A? Give me all your favorites.
I was just about to ask you that, so we're going to have to do this segment together then. All right, so but I got to be honest, like, 6A is tough. Like, you got Gainesville, Houston County, Lee County, Douglas, Hughes, Roswell, Rome. My favorite, I really want to see Houston County because we're gonna go see Houston County this week. To be able to give a thorough statement on them. They're in Middle Georgia, obviously. If I'm gonna roll with one, I'm gonna go Gainesville. Gainesville 1.
You know it.
I got 2 Douglas County, 3 Hughes. I'm still not counting out Hughes. I think Hughes still a real deal. And I think they're going to rebound. But they're 3. I can't give Houston County my top yet because I don't know what they're going to be. I don't know. I have to see them first. I don't like to rank somebody high, and I haven't seen them in person. I got to see them up close and personal before I can give them a ranking. But I'm going to go Gainesville.
Watch some film on those guys. Houston's impressive, but I can save you your gas. If you're driving over there to see if they're the number one team in 6A, put the gas back in your trunk, man. Put it back in your pocket. Put your money back in your pocket. It's all Gainesville. Gainesville lost by 7 points to the highest scoring team of all time in Georgia last year in Langston. That had a variety of Power 5 guys, right? Coach Niblett, since he's come over from Hoover, has completely flipped over the program. It's been ridiculously impressive on what they've been able to do. But the transfers, right? We talk a lot about that in college football. Transfer portal in high schools, particularly here in Georgia, is alive and well, man. Some of those transfers they got are real deal guys. I mean, Gavin Hall playing running back. He was a player of the year in his classification when he was at Hebron Christian. He's a dog. Champ Thompson, 4-star Clemson commit. Dog. Zion Ferguson, transferred over from here in Gwinnett. Dog. If you have a monster in every single position group, that's what you like to see. Now, their offensive line's a little bit small to me, but those guys blocked their butt off. Quarterback's underrated, super mobile, and is a gamer. He is like a different version of Jeremy Hiclincy at Walton. He's a dog. I think based on the preparation of this year, what I saw in the summertime and padded camps, the transfers that they brought in, as well as the experience in losing that state championship last year, Gainesville is my favorite to win it in 6A this year. You can quote me on that one.
All right, Gainesville. Okay, I'm quoting you. All right, let's go 5A. I'm going to go Creekside for me. I have not seen Cartersville. I know they got dudes. I know they can run the ball. I know they got Jamari Bryce. But, again, that's just me. I got to see you up close and personal. I got Creekside as my favorite. I got Kell as my sleeper.
Well, I think you're right. You're spot on. I think Kel. I don't know, man. I don't know about Kel. I think
They're
it's Creekside
legit.
for sure. First of all, shout out to everybody at Kel. Shout out to Peyton Zachary. Shout out to Bryce. Shout out to Create with Dre, who does all their content. Phenomenal program. Well coached. Creekside's had a gauntlet of a schedule, man. I mean, going to California. First of all, playing St. Peter's here. I watched them at that Morehouse Classic. It was 104 degrees on the field. It was a scorcher. Those guys went out there and literally imposed their will on one of New Jersey's best teams, St. Peter's. And to follow that up and go to, obviously, to California to play as well. I just love coaches that don't care about having an undefeated record, just playing whoever in front of them. They want all the smoke. Creekside's definitely, in my opinion, the number one team. Now, Cartersville is sneaky. They have one of my favorite 2027 kids that's playing big varsity snaps. Shout out to Cole Crawford. I know we've kind of mentioned a lot of these teams. You know, they have a lot of these really good young players that are starting to kind of ascend. You mentioned Milton. Shout out to Pancake Christian Hunter, who you've interviewed before as well. But Cartersville's okay. But Creekside's physicality and their speed, sideline to sideline, is extremely impressive. They have Shamon Johnson, who's an Eastern Michigan commit defensive end, who's a monster. Don't know if he'll stay committed there because stock is rising. We got Michael Barreau, who just decommitted from the University of Florida. Just was at a UGA game a couple weeks ago. Super hot on them. And then we have Eric Paul Jr., kid you probably haven't heard much about. Legend in the city since he's been a kid. He's a 2026 kid, wide receiver. He's a monster as well. Plays for Hustle Inc. Keep an eye out on Eric Paul Jr. and the Creekside Seminoles. Go Noles, by the way.
I got to give some love to Roger McCreary and Travis Terrell, man. They both won Players of the Game when we had it from Corky Kell. They're phenomenal. Yeah. We'll give them a shout out too. I'm surprised though. You said Cartersville just okay.
Compared to Creekside, I don't think they can match that physicality. No, sir.
All right, we gonna find
out. They're a little different down there in Fairburn. That coaching staff talks to these kids a little different than they do over there in Cartersville. I think they're gonna face each other, and I hope I'm next to you when that game does pile off. I love to see your reaction when you hear those pads start clacking.
You're right. I've seen Creekside. Hopefully we get that game on TV. Hopefully get that game on TV, 1. And 2, hopefully it's in Fairburn because I want to go see them. It's tough for me because of my schedule, but I would love for that game to be on TV. So hopefully it is there, and hopefully we can see each other. I think that'd be fun. All right, let's move to 4A. Yes, who you got?
Oh, man. Let's go Benedictine.
Yeah. I mean,
shout out to Luke Croman Hope.
Yep, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're really solid. I think if you're talking about parity, I think 4A is what you want to see. Obviously, there's tons of parity in 7A, 6A, but 4A just kind of goes under the radar. If any of you can go, there's probably 4 or 5 teams you can say can win it. I just think Benedictine's the favorite. Obviously, they've won it how many years in a row now? Typically, twice. When it's a 50-50 game. I'm sorry?
No, I'm saying twice. They won twice in a row.
Twice, correct.
Yep.
Typically, when it's a 50-50 game, I'm going to go with whichever team has the best player. The best player is Luke Croman. Once again, shout out Seminoles.
Yeah, man, I can't really blame you, man. That dude is the real deal. I was telling Craig a few weeks ago, I was kind of salivating over a matchup. It's not going to happen because they're in different classifications. Maybe next year, but both quarterbacks will be gone. But Benedictine versus Calvary Day. Calvary Day got Jake Merklinger. They just got Thomas Blackshear from Benedictine. Them going against Luke Croman, that really good elite team. I mean, that's a matchup I just salivate over. I mean, it won't happen, obviously, but, I mean, you put both programs against each other, I mean, that'd be exciting.
It's crazy. Let's get a petition to get you scheduling some of these games next year, man. You got my vote.
I appreciate that. I tell Craig all the time, man. I'm like, we got to get the marquee matchups on TV, man. I was like, yo, I want to go see Douglas County versus Hughes. I'm like, that's the game we should be at. Obviously, Buford is, as you said, Glory Land. They're a phenomenal program. Everybody wants to see them. Everybody wants to see their talent. But give the fans what they want. You know what I'm saying? And I tell Craig all the time, man, we've got to get the marquee matchups. And that is one. Benedictine, Calvary Day. Man, you talk about.
That'd be great.
Yeah, that's crazy. And Craig brought up a great point. He said Luke led them to a title that first year as a safety before he became the quarterback. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, he's ascended up in the ranks. I was able to catch him over at Elite 11 in California. I mean, you're talking about a kid who had no offers at the end of his sophomore year, went to Florida State's camp, got his first Power 5 offer, committed shortly thereafter, and then his stock blew up. I mean, I'm a guy that's typically skeptical on quarterbacks until I see them. You got a lot of different classifications that rank these kids differently, but the way that the ball comes out of this kid's hand, you hear it before you see it. And the fact that he's an athlete, he started at receiver and at safety prior to being the starting quarterback. So you know he's a hell of an athlete as well.
True. Well, last one, 3A.
Shout out to his dad, John Carmahone. Great guy, too. Shout out to John.
Yes, 100%. 3A, man, who you got, man?
Hey, man, it's going to be Saints all the way. I mean,
man,
nobody's touching this
team. I got to give you credit for that. Nobody is. I mean, the fact that you're standing by him, I mean, that's tough.
No. Cedar Grove is standing on business this year for sure. Nobody's touching those guys, like I mentioned. Bo Walker. I mean, everybody talks about E.J. Colson, who's progressed continuously as a quarterback. He's been great for them. If you walk up on him, you've noticed he's probably put a good 15 pounds of muscle on, and they've been implementing that into the offense as well. I think he's been running the ball way more than he typically does, but it's also a proponent of the fact that they don't have some of the athletes that they had last year at receiver that they might have lost. But deadly accurate, extremely mobile. This kid's tough. I've seen him take some shots and get right back up. He's the straw that stirs the drink over at Cedar Grove. They're able to get Devin Carter back, Florida State commit, who's a Florida State legacy. His father's a legend down in Tallahassee. He transferred back over to Cedar Grove this year. He's been balling, man. He's one of the top receivers in the state, regardless of classification. And then, of course, like I said, Bo Walker, running back, number 0, has been killing guys. So, to me, I think they have a tough matchup coming up. They play one of the top teams in Alabama next. And then after that, it's all region playing smooth sailing all the way to the championship, man. I'll see them in the Benz for sure.
All right, man. We're going to have to hold you to that one. For me, 3A, I got some contenders for them. I think it's going to be a little bit tougher. I think Sandy Creek with Amari Latimer, they can run that rock. They can get after you with Evan Harvey, who's one of the best players, I think, in 2026, regardless of classification, regardless of actually class, too. Evan Harvey is the real deal. I got them up there with them. I got Calvary Day, too. I think Calvary Day is a lot better than they played them last year. I think those are going to be my 2 contenders to battle with Cedar Grove. I'm not going to sleep on them because I love their head coach. I think he does a great job. But I'm going to put them 3 up there far as just competing with them.
Calvary Day would probably make me a little bit more nervous at this point because of quarterback and their ability to pass the ball down the field. I think Cedar Grove's defensive backs are extremely physical. Sometimes that can get you bit, being too physical rather than just playing your technique and trusting the process on that, trusting the call. So that would be a shootout. So if that was a matchup that lines up, we'd love to see it. But I'm willing to bet both of my mortgages. There is no way Sandy Creek is beating Cedar Grove this year. Absolutely not.
Damn,
it's personal. That's not going to happen.
Both mortgages? Sheesh. All right, man.
Hey, look, I'm here to give the tough takes. You know, you're giving tough takes too. You know, but these guys got to see you every week at 2:20 on a Thursday. They don't got to see me unless they walk up on me. I'm telling you. I'm going to give you the tough takes. I'm giving you the real spill. There's no way Sandy Creek is beating Cedar Grove. I was at both matchups, the region game last year, as well as the state championship game where Cedar Grove got fleeced. But no way these guys beat them this year. Cedar Grove all the way for sure. And I have no affiliation with that program, by the way. I'm just telling you what I've seen.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to leave that there. We're going to do a fun segment before I let you get out of here. You know, me and you on the sidelines, we be chopping it up in a different language. So this is the first time I've done this live on air on TV. Oh, not TV, but on YouTube and NFHS and all that. So I'm excited to share this side of the people that are watching. And we're going to talk a little bit in the language. And I'm going to go ahead and start. So
let's do it.
Dime. ¿Cuál es tu jugador favorito para ver jugar en nivel profesional, nivel colegio, nivel secundaria? ¿Cuál es tu favorito?
En nivel profesional, yo creo que es Tua Tagovailoa. Yo soy un fanático de los Dolphins, yo soy de Miami, como tú sabes. Tua es alguien que la fuerza del brazo no es demasiado fuerte, pero la inteligencia, él es un monstruo. Y yo no sé cómo explicarlo. No es un hombre que es muy grande, un hombre bien regular, no, pero algo que pasa cuando él empieza jugando el juego de fútbol es una belleza, para decirte la verdad.
70 puntos contra de Broncos. Es increíble, ¿no?
Claro. Mi hermano estaba en el juego, él estaba ahí con mi sobrino, mi hermano Jack, que también vive en Miami. Eso era un juego que yo no sé, que es algo que nosotros no vamos a ver en mi vida otra vez. 70 puntos es algo que nunca pasa, no en el nivel profesional. Alguna vez se pasa en el nivel de colegio, pero eso es algo que yo no creo que vamos a ver otra vez. Era un milagro.
Claro que sí. Y favoritos para ganar el Super Bowl, ¿no?
Sí, bueno, el favorito mío, yo creo que son los Miami Dolphins. Yo sé que yo soy un fanático, pero todo se está viendo bien. El coach es alguien que es bien inteligente también. Él sabe lo que estás haciendo con el programa. Tenemos los jugadores para ganarlo. Ellos tienen un juego el 5 de noviembre en Alemania contra los Kansas City Chiefs. Yo voy con mi esposa. Nos vamos a estar ahí en vivo mirando el juego contra Kansas City, pero yo creo que es el mejor equipo ahora. Ellos o San Francisco. Los 49ers, un equipo bien fuerte, tienen de todo, tienen el running back, tienen los receivers, tienen todo el mundo. El defense me hace un poquito nervioso, pero yo creo que si los Dolphins juegan a los Niners, yo creo que los Dolphins van a ganar.
¿Estás asustado de los Chiefs, de Patrick Mahomes, de Travis Kelce? ¿Estás asustado o no?
Siempre estoy asustado con Patrick Mahomes. Él es alguien que, tú sabes, cada año que él está en profesional, él casi gana el Super Bowl. Son 5 años que él ha hecho el starter en Kansas City, y todos esos 5 años, él, por lo mínimo, ellos han llegado al AFC Championship. 3 de esos años ellos llegaron al Super Bowl y 2 de esos años lo ganaron. Entonces, para mí, yo creo que todo el mundo tiene miedo de Kansas City y Patrick Mahomes. Yo creo que en su carrera solamente hay 2 o 3 juegos que él ha perdido de más de un score. Entonces, cada vez que él juega, tú siempre tienes un chance.
Sí, es verdad. ¿Y qué opinas de Ronald Acuña Jr.? Está diciendo del récord de béisbol de 40 honrones y 70 bases robadas. ¿Qué opinas de esto?
Sí, Ronald Acuña es el MVP este año. Él es el mejor jugador en el mejor equipo. Los Atlanta Braves yo creo que van a ganar el World Series. Mi equipo son los Miami Marlins, pero los Braves no tienen ellos no fallasen en nada. Ellos son el mejor equipo. Y Ronald Acuña Jr., yo creo que estamos empezando a ver una carrera que posiblemente va a estar en la Hall of Fame de 10 a 15 años de ahora.
Estoy de acuerdo con eso. Es verdad. Él es increíble y gran jugador y mejor jugador en el mundo, en mi opinión.
Sí, mejor jugador del mundo. Él es de Venezuela. Hay muchos peloteros ahora que están llegando de Venezuela. Sí. Luis Arraez, hay demasiado de jugadores que están viniendo ahora. Pero Ronald es el mejor jugador en béisbol ahora. Y él Shohei Ohtani. Sí. Ese otro que también es bueno, pero yo creo que Ronald, por lo que él hace para ese equipo, es el mejor jugador en béisbol.
Sí, claro que sí. Dime, ¿cuál es tu cosa favorito hacer afuera del trabajo?
¿Afuera de qué?
Afuera del trabajo. Cuando estás en casa.
¿Afuera del trabajo?
Sí.
Bueno, claro, es una buena pregunta. Jugando con mis hijos, tiempo con la familia. yendo en vacaciones, mirando juegos de college. Bueno, yo fui al juego de Florida State y Clemson el sábado con mis esposas. Me disfruté mucho con eso, pero a mí me encanta yendo a los juegos de college, los juegos profesionales, los juegos de high school, disfrutando el tiempo con los hijos. Eso es algo que a mí me encanta. También a mí me gusta oír música, y para mí cualquier tiempo que tengo con mi familia es el mejor tiempo. Entonces eso es lo que a mí me gusta de hacer.
Claro que sí. ¿Y qué pensaste cuando Florida State ganó el partido y derrota a Clemson?
Bueno, ese era un juego que yo sabía que Florida State iba a ganar. Yo tenía el mejor equipo este año. Hace 7 años que Clemson no ha ganado ese juego. Yo sé que no iba a ser fácil yendo a Clemson. Era a las 12 de la tarde, era demasiado calor. Y era un equipo que ya tenía una pérdida con Duke. Entonces yo sabía que ese juego iba a ser fuerte. Yo creo que el equipo que tenemos este año es uno de los mejores 4 equipos en el NCAA, para decirte la verdad. Son Georgia, posiblemente Michigan, nosotros y Texas. Yo creo que son los mejores 4 equipos. Entonces, yo no tengo ninguna duda con este equipo, y con cualquier equipo que nosotros vamos a jugar, vamos a tener un chance de ganar. Sí, posiblemente con Georgia también. Vamos a ver.
Sí, vamos a ver. 3 preguntas más. Y ¿cuál es su pensamiento sobre de Colorado y la entrenadora de Deion Sanders?
A mí me encanta lo que está haciendo Colorado. Deion está trayendo un sabor diferente para el juego de college football. Yo creo que es un equipo que tiene bastante talento, pero va a coger tiempo para procesar y empezar ganando juegos grandes. Yo creo que por ahora, por lo que él ha hecho para la ciudad de Boulder, para lo que ha hecho para el estado de Colorado, la Universidad de Colorado, es algo que nunca está hecho. Está haciendo historia. Entonces a mí me encanta de lo que está pasando, y yo creo que va a continuar creciendo el programa, y vamos a ver lo que ellos tienen el año que viene.
Sí, estoy de acuerdo. Y también, ¿cuál partido vas a mirar este viernes?
No estoy seguro. Para decirte de verdad, todavía estoy viendo. Puede ser que vas a hacer Collinsville con Buford. Yo creo que Creekside tiene Mays.
Sí.
Puede hacer ese. Todavía no estoy seguro. Mañana en la mañana yo voy a saber, pero yo creo que esos van a ser los 2 en esta área, en Atlanta. Yo creo que esos van a ser los 2 mejores juegos. Creekside con Mays o Buford contra Collinsville.
Está bien. Y la última pregunta, ¿qué piensas sobre de favorito para ganar todo en colegio? Colegio de fútbol americano. ¿Cuál es tu favorito?
Para decirte la verdad, todos mis amigos creen que vas a ser Georgia. Yo no creo que para ganar 3 campeonatos es algo bien difícil, y no creo que ellos lo van a hacer. Creo que ellos van a estar en el playoff, pero no creo que ellos van a ganar el campeonato. Entonces yo creo, vamos a ver cómo el orden estás, pero puede ser Florida State, puede ser Texas.
Sí.
Yo no tengo confianza en Michigan. Yo no tengo confianza en Alabama. Yo no tengo confianza en Ohio State este año. Penn State es un equipo que a mí me gusta mucho también. Pero si no es Penn State, yo creo que vas a ser Florida State o Texas.
Ok. Está bien. Es todas mis preguntas. ¿Tienes algo o no?
Sí. Que una pregunta que tengo para ti. Yo sé que usted está practicando el español. ¿Usted tiene algún lugar, alguna vacación que vas a ir a un país que hablas español para practicar un poquito más?
Claro que sí. Quiero ir a Colombia o Dominicana Republicana. Quiero ir
La República Dominicana.
a estos. Sí, claro que sí. Un día yo voy, no sé cuándo, pero ya sabes, estoy practicando todos los días y cuando tengo tiempo para practicar, voy a hacerlo.
Perfecto. Cuando usted va, me das una llamada, nosotros nos vamos juntos.
Sí, claro que sí. Well, muchas gracias, amigo, y que tenga un buen día y nos vemos pronto.
Gracias, hermoso.
Gracias. All right. So, hope you guys enjoyed that. That was Steven. It was a really fun talk. Talked about a lot of different things. Football, college football, professional. That he was just talking about his favorites in college, favorites in NFL. Talked about the Dolphins. A lot of fun stuff. But sorry, Craig, I know I'm holding you up. It's like 3:10. I didn't think time went that fast. But we're going to take one more quick break, and then we're going to wrap up the show with top 10 headlines, couple tell of the tapes, and then go ahead and wrap up and close out the show.
What you doing?
Hey, just finishing this claim to get Dave back on the road.
Nice. I wonder what Dave's doing.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate it.
You do your thing. We've got you covered.
Hey, is the power off on this?
I don't know. Just take it off.
Safety violation, unsafe work conditions.
In the construction trades unions, safety is our highest priority, and we train you to recognize and speak out on unsafe working conditions so that everyone arrives and goes home safely. Learn about careers in construction at georgiaconstructioncareers.com.
All right, guys. So thanks to all the loyal supporters for sticking around this long time. I usually wrap up around this point, but we're going to go ahead and get to the rest of the show, wrap it up before we get prepared for Craig's show tomorrow, drive for the GCSA state title. So a little bit of recruiting news. Florida State commit Devin Carter commits to play at NBC All-American game. Absolutely lit up the Colquitt defense last week. Nearly was able to pull off that comeback. 110 yards, 5 catches, 3 touchdowns on one of the biggest platforms in sports, ESPN. That kid's the real deal. He's a legacy committed to Florida State. That's big-time news. Let's move to basketball real quick. Darion Reed, former Georgia player, narrows down his basketball list to 3 schools, Georgia, Alabama, and Florida State. So those are in the running for him. He might come back home and play for the Bulldogs. I heard Alabama's very interested in him, so we're going to see what kind of happens there. He's at Prolific Prep right now playing in California. All right, got some news off the field, Craig. It's pretty cool. Whit Weeks, remember that name? Oconee County? He is starting as a freshman at LSU. He's getting some good playing time. Last week had some big-time tackles. Seen an interview of him. He was talking about just playing the role and being able to come in. And, I mean, Craig, you know this very well. It's hard to come in as a freshman and kind of start.
Who they play? South Carolina or Tennessee?
No, South Carolina plays Tennessee. LSU is on the road against Ole Miss. Yes, so I'm kind of like tuned in. I kind of want to see him play now. I mean, that's not easy to do. We've seen another freshman balling out, Caleb Downs, starting for, obviously, Alabama. But I thought that was some big news, man. I mean, that's not easy to do that.
What's Georgia Tech's receiver, Singleton?
Eric Singleton for Alexander. Yep, Georgia Tech receiver. Yeah, so want to give him some love, man. I mean, that's very exciting. He's doing some big things out there in LSU. Hope it continues for him. He's playing on a big stage and playing well. But, all right, we got 2 tell the tapes we're going to do before we conclude with the top 10 headlines and close out the show. We're going to start with Javen Parker. That was the running back that head coach Coach Hirsfield mentioned. As far as he thinks he's a dog, he does a lot of things well. My quick standouts, hard downhill runner, does a good job of breaking the first couple of tackles. Hard for him to bring him down, mismatch. I think the biggest thing for him in taking the next jump would be getting to the second level. He's able to get deep and break the first line of contain and bounce out. He knows how to follow his blocks well, but sometimes it's that second level. He has the burst. I've seen his burst on film. It's really good, but maybe incorporating a couple extra moves, a couple jukes, stiff arms, spins. He's real good with the spin move you're going to see in this tape too. But I think getting past the second level, turn him onto even larger gains, that's where I think he'll be a complete back. And he's still got time to continue to grow and perfect his craft. So we're going to go ahead and roll this tape. Javen Parker from East Paulding. All right, right here, again, that spin move right there, getting off the tackle real easily. Right here in the red zone. Looking to break multiple tackles, show that little burst that he has, get through. Nice touchdown right there. All right, here we go. Getting nice bounce outside. Easy money. Just runs over that defender right there, punches it in for the touchdown. Right here, get a little outside stretch run. Boom. Look at him lay down the shoulder. Great physical runner downhill. All right, same thing here. We're going to get in the middle of the defense. Love this burst right here. I just would love for him to use that stiff arm, break it off a little more. But great run right there. Right here again, good job following his blocks. Get into the second level, turn it into a large gain. Great job right there from Javen. All right, right here we're going to see him run the real route. Now, he's going to get hit pretty hard here. But look at him hang on to the football. You know, great job right there. That's not an easy play. Right here, just a little out route. I'm going to have Craig roll that back one more time. Can break that down a little bit more. Nice move right there in the open field. Look at the move he put on the defender. Oh, look at that. Oh, nice move right there, man. Great job. Here he is on the outside run. Good job. Look at him just lay down his shoulder. He's excellent with that. Being physical. Look at him bounce it outside. Nice spin move right there. Keep the legs turning for the first down. Right here, lay down his shoulder. Get it in for his team. Good touchdown right there. Look at him bounce it outside. Use that burst of speed. Ooh, that's just physical. Get it all the way down to the 40. Right here, a little wildcat. Runs it right up the middle for the touchdown. Nice play right there. Here, you're going to bounce it again outside. Great job following his blockers. Right here, just get off me. Get off me. You know, just great job right there. Good physical running back. Right here, a little outside stretch. 1, 2, 3. Look how many defenders it takes to break him down. It's like 4 defenders. All right, same thing right here. Nice run to the outside. Breaks that tackle, breaks that one, turns into a first down. He broke 3 tackles on that play just to get there. Here we're going to see a little bit of a screen play. Boom, looking to make the first defender miss. Second defender. Look at that. I mean, that's just great effort, man. Phenomenal effort by him. All right, same thing right here. Throws it to him. Boom, make the defender miss. Turn it into a nice little gain. I mean, that's just a simple, okay, hey, nothing's there for the quarterback. I'm going to just check it down, throw it to my running back, let it be a big play. So, obviously, good job right there from Javen. Really impressive tape. As I said, very physical downhill runner. Does a good job following his blocks. Able to kind of see when, you know, maybe it's not there. He can bounce it out to the outside. Again, I think just the biggest thing I have is just getting to the second level. Just being able to kind of use that burst that we know he has and being able to turn them into touchdowns. That's the biggest thing. I mean, other than that, he's a good physical runner. Takes a lot to bring him down. Does a good job of following his blocks. Does a lot of things well for East Paulding. So he's doing a good job. Shout out to him. Very impressive tape for Javen Parker. Definitely a bright future for him. His recruiting starting to heat up, as his coach kind of mentioned. But we got one more player we're going to break down. This is Christian Smith from Harrison, undefeated right now at 6-0. Big-time game on the road against McEachern. Defensive end, what I like about him real quick is just his versatility. He's able to play defensive tackle, defensive end. Does a lot of different things well. So very impressive tape, but we're going to go ahead and roll that, bring it up. All right, here's right here. Look at him kind of clog up that space right there. Stop the run. Right here, just a good job just not quitting on the play. Good hustle getting out there. All right, here he is playing on the left end. Look at him use his hands. He's really good with that. Run down the defender. I mean, the running back. Same thing here on the outside. Look at him maul the offensive tackle right there with his hands. Does a good job of getting the hands off. Same thing right here. Nice job coming around, getting the tackle for loss. Here he is here. Look at his hands. Boom. This is disrupting the play. Here's right here. Boom. Taking on a double team. Look at him flush the quarterback out. Make him throw it away. That's great. That's not easy. That's 2 people you're getting blocked up. We did an instant replay. Let's roll it again. Okay. Pause it right here, Craig. Boom. So that's 2. So obviously the offensive lineman, he chips him. He sees that this linebacker's coming down. He's able to split him and get through. Then he uses his hands to kind of chop down the left guard right there and get to the quarterback. Boom. Get off me. Use my hands. I'm going to make this an errant throw. Quarterback got to get rid of it. I'm coming for a sack. Phenomenal play right there. All right, here's again. Coming down. Look at him stay. Good job. Good contain right there. Not to go all the way. Not to allow it to open up. You know, but just staying right there. Not giving the running back any lane to run. Right here, just a good hustle play. Coming down. Making sure that the receiver's down. Boom. Look at them hands, man. Doesn't get there, but look how he just chopped them off with his hands. And look at that errant throw. Boom. Same thing, hands. Look at him come down and get the tackle. Oof. I mean, that is just next level. His hands are great. He really uses that to his advantage. If he's not getting there, as I said, sometimes it's hard to get sacks, guys, because quarterbacks are kind of sped up in a way. Sometimes quarterbacks get it out within 2-3 seconds. But if you're disruptive and you're getting the quarterback off his spot, you're making it difficult for him, and you're making them into an errant throw or kind of throw off target, those can lead to tips. And you know what tips leads to? Tips leads to interceptions. So I think he does a good job of that. Has a great game, good hustler, great with his hands. And I think as he continues to develop, Christian Smith does, he'll continue to add different pass rush moves to his repertoire, right? He's going to add different pass rush moves like spins. He's already good with his hands. And I think soon he'll be able to just maul guys. He's good with just getting the hands off, but I think soon he'll be able to kind of use his upper body strength and just absolutely maul the offensive tackle out of the way. I think that's the next step of his game. But just being able to incorporate different moves in. But, I mean, he does a good job. Bright future. Great at rushing the passer. Doing a good job for the Harrison Hoyas. But, all right. We're going to move to the last segment of the show and wrap this up. Top 10 headlines for the weekend presented by GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com. We got a lot to talk about. All right, number 1, Carson Westbrook becomes the career leader in GHSA history for interceptions with 16. Carson plays for Schley County. He's doing a good job out there. 16 career interceptions. It's hard to believe with all the DB talent that's come through the Peach State that 16 is the high for career interceptions. It's a little hard to believe, but at the same time, Carson Westbrook owns that record. He's doing a good job for them. That's really, really exciting. Number 2, Tyler Atkinson announces his top 10 schools for recruiting, right? Florida State, Georgia, Alabama, Clemson, UNC, LSU, Texas, Auburn, Ohio State, and Tennessee. Why I bring him up? He's one of the heavily touted prospects in the 2026 class. Plays for Grayson. Does a really good job. Started as a freshman. Coaches raved about him. And as you guys know, again, it's not easy to start as a freshman on any level, whether college, whether you're being a rookie in NFL, whether you're doing it on a high school level. So he does it well. He's been starting since last year, and he's doing a phenomenal job. But, yeah, narrows down his list to his top 10. So we'll see what happens. Probably a good time to do it. We'll see. It might be a commitment decision next year or maybe even earlier. But those are the schools that stands out to him. All right, number 3. Got to give some love to Sophia Mazio. She shattered her cross-country PR record at the Atlanta Track Club Wingfoot Classic. I try to highlight different sports, so want to give her a shout-out. Her hard work has been paying off. She's been having a really, really good season. She capped off her season last year in great fashion, so that was the Athlete of the Week. Sophia Mazio for her program, so I wanted to give her a shout-out. Number 4. Standout forward from Sandy Creek, Micah Smith officially announced his commitment to James Madison University. He's a top-tier player. Got to see him a couple times this summer at the Tip-Off Classic. Really impressed me going against like top 2025 prospects, top 2026 prospects, and he held his own. So I think James Madison's getting a primetime prospect. I think he's a 4-star in the state. And he's been doing a good job, man. Dude can really ball. He's good in the interior. He's good at defending. He do a lot of things well, man. So James Madison, they got a good player. All right. And then number 5, as I mentioned early on, Teo Todd. He's been ruled out for the season. Contributed over 4,500 yards to the Troup County offense. Ends his career as one of the best players in Tigers history. As Craig mentioned, was top 1 and 2 in passing yards. And also rushing yards last season in 4A classification. Kid does it all. unfortunate to see. His growth from sophomore to junior year was just incredible. I think he had like 6 rushing touchdowns to like 27 junior year. I think he had like a couple touchdowns passing over like 20 plus. So kid does everything well. It's unfortunate to see him kind of go out in his senior season, but I know he's going to be a good teammate and support his teammates, and hopefully Troop County can still make a run out there in 4A. But unfortunate injury, phenomenal talent, does everything well. But yeah, that's unfortunate news, man. Rooting for you, Teo, and sorry to hear that, man, but keep going. I know you still got a bright future in football and playing on the college level. So, number 6, back-to-back region champions, Loganville Christian Academy in volleyball. Just wanted to give them a little bit of praise. Great job, great effort by them. Back-to-back is not easy to do. They've been doing a good job on the volleyball side of things. So that's number 6 for me. Doing a good job. 2nd straight year in a row to win the region title. So good job out there. Number 7, game of the week. Monday's Mill versus Jonesboro. Jonesboro has already shown that they're a team that's going to battle. They're going to compete, and they're going to contend. Have their sights on winning the region title. It's a really interesting region when you think about it, right? Monday's Mill, Jonesboro, Woodward Academy. Who's going to come out on top? Monday's Mill is undefeated in the region play. Got a lot of playmakers. Player to watch for, Joshua Ofer for them. He would be an important piece, I think, for them winning this game. And I think it's 2 great teams that are trying to make some noise, right? And I think if Jonesboro gets in 6A, they're going to make some noise, right? They already got Jontavius Wyman, who's absolutely just blown up in recruiting. Auburn offers, Texas offers, Florida offers. Kids just blown up in the month of September. So Coach Carmichael does a good job just putting a highlight onto his team, and just, good job just being the recruiting coordinator for them. I mean, just absolutely phenomenal. So that's going to be a good game, man. I can't wait to see what comes out on top. We got 5-0 Monday's Mill versus 4-1 Jonesboro. So that will be a sight to see. All right, number 8. This is softball. Taylor Coron, she delivers North Gwinnett walk-off winner versus Mill Creek. They improved to 22-3, remains undefeated at 8-0 in region play. So doing a great job out there. They look like they're in the driver's seat to win that region and make a deep playoff run. So she delivered a walk-off winner. They got their senior night tonight. A big matchup against Norcross. As I think only a couple games left for the regular season before it closes out. Crazy how fast softball and volleyball goes. But yes, that is winding down already. All right, number 9. 5 teams remain undefeated after 4 games in middle school football. This is for DeKalb County. So 5 teams are undefeated heading into week 5. Defending champion Stevenson, they're 4-0. They won 10 regular season games in a row. They just got a big 58-0 win against Druid Hills, who are 2-2. And they've been doing a good job. Jacko scored 3 defensive touchdowns on pick sixes by Gavin Kitchen, Noah Mahoney, Demario Mentor, Christian Folks, Kentez Schaefer were all big on the defensive side of the ball for them. So big-time victory. Also in other scores, McNair won and defeated Redan 42-0. Tucker 30-6 against Salem. Lithonia beat Freedom 20-6. Champion defeated Henderson 38-0. Chapel Hill defeated Miller Groves 26-6. Chamblee defeated Sequoia 52-0. Columbia 30-6 against Stone Mountain. And then Cedar Grove 40-0 against Bethune. So those are the middle school scores. Got to give some love to the youth football. They are the kids that'll be up next that you'll be watching pretty soon on Friday nights. All right, so number 10 to conclude the show. Grayson versus McEachern. They're expected to play November 11th as part of the Georgia Elite 8 Tip-Off Classic at McEachern High School. That is on a Saturday. Both are projected top 25 teams in the nation. So this is reported by Samad Hines. I think this is big news, right? If you have nothing to do, you'll be able to get to see number 2 player in the country, Ace Bailey, up close and personal. Grayson, I think, as I said, I think they're the team to beat in 7A. What better sense than them to play McEachern? McEachern got some guys as well. Josh Hill plays for Willie. But they got some guys as well that can contend with you. And I think Grayson is one of the better teams in 7A, and you're going to see that this year, right? Jakari Harris, Jacob Wilkins, who is Dominique Wilkins' son, just transferred over from Parkview to Grayson. Amir Taylor. They just got dudes, and Coach Jeffrey Pierce does a good job. So that's a great way to kind of start off the season. Obviously, it starts a little bit earlier than that, but that's just going to be a great tip-off classic for both teams, kind of facing off against each other. Two phenomenal programs. So we're going to have something to say towards the end of who's going to host the state championship. So that will be a lot of fun. But, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. I know this is a long show. Went over an hour and 30. I usually don't go that long, but I think a lot of great content. Got to talk to head coach Coach Hirschfield of East Paulding. Got to bring on Stephen Bernard, who gave some great insight into programs across Georgia and just what he does as a whole, and then obviously concluding with the top 10 headlines and some tell of the tapes. So hope you guys enjoyed. Stay tuned for Craig's Show tomorrow, Drive for GHSA state title. That'll be a lot of fun. He's going to have on Houston County's head coach. If you missed Lee County interview, that is up as well on our live segment. So go give that a check. Every single week we'll have the coaches that we're going to have for as far as the games on Peachtree TV. Next week will be Cass Cartersville. This week is Houston County, Lee County. So stay tuned for that. Hope you guys enjoyed this show. See you guys next Thursday, and have a great rest of the weekend. And we'll see you then. Peace. It was unexpected because he was like, are we gonna talk in Spanish?